A giant wooden video wall that's also a touchscreen and can help save the planet? This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Smile, the makers of PDFpen and PDFpen Pro. PDF editing for your Mac, iPhone, and iPad. Find out more at smilesoftware.com/podcast. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, as you already know, we couldn't go to CES this year because there was no in-person CES, but we did have virtual CES, and that exposed us to a number of interesting products. This is one of those products that if I had been on the show floor and I had walked by, I would have had to stop because it is so unusual and so unique. And so I'm anxious to hear from Oliver from Woodoo about what you're seeing on the background behind him. Oliver, welcome, and thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you, Chuck. Thank you very much to us Woodoo on that show. It's quite an honor for us. I'm quite sure you don't have much of French companies in your show. I can imagine. I'm not sure, but I guess. So it's a pleasure.
Unfortunately, the time zones make it a little difficult, but that doesn't mean they're not welcome. And your product was just so unique and different, and I was anxious to hear about it and find out the use cases for it and all. So I'm going to just turn you loose and let you explain what it is that we're seeing behind you.
Okay, great. Thank you. In fact, what you see behind me is what we call Jasper. Jasper is one of the latest products we've launched, and we've launched it officially at the CES. Jasper is a LED panel. And on this panel, we've put our material, our wooden material. So in order to make a wooden screen, and it's a premiere. It's a premiere because for the moment, when you put wood on any screen, you make it like a completely blank panel. And with our product, we make it translucent. So we think we are the first one to achieve a screen, a display that is covered with wood. And the idea behind that product is to build giant wooden walls, screen walls, for example, in the retail, in the airports, or train stations, when we need to display information to the audiences, display information to the public. So with that kind of massive wooden screens, you can have a new interface, a new experience for the audience with information, because it is behind wood. And that's Jasper. That's Jasper.
So there's so many questions I want to ask about this. We all know what
make it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We all know what an LED screen is, and we know what wood is, and the two don't seem to mix. So, are you cutting just a super thin veneer, or are you embedding the LEDs within the wood?
In fact, it's not really depending on the thickness of the veneer. In fact, it's all what we achieve is made with green tech. In fact, you got to know that at the beginning of the company, there is one man is called Timothée Boitouzé, and it's a young man that has been an architect, a very acclaimed architect in very acclaimed architecture companies, and he's been working for architectural project for years, and he was quite disappointed with concrete and cement that we need to use in the building today, because cement and concrete are a plague for the planet because of the carbon that we throw in the airs when we build with concrete. So the idea of Timothée was to get back to one of the oldest material of humanity, wood. And because we've always built houses with wood, he had the intuition that wood would be a solution because wood is the best carbon trap on the planet. So we use wood and we transform wood, and he had this idea, Timothy has this idea to transform it with green tech innovation. So he's been for 2 years at the MIT, in the media lab of the MIT, to develop the process to make Woodoo, what would become Woodoo. So what is the process basically? You take wood, absolutely natural plain wood, and from the matrix of the wood, you take out one very important component that is called the lignin. You take out the lignin, you remove it with a green tech process we have developed and we have patented. You remove the lignin, that is the glue between the fibers of the wood. You take out the lignin, and we inject inside the matrix of the wood, we inject our specialty polymer, because wood, it's like 60 to 80% of air. So that's why it burns so much. That's why it rots. So the air is part of the problem. So we inject inside the micro cavities of the wood our specialty polymer to make it 3 to 4 times sturdier, to make it translucent, to make it fire resistant, etc., etc. So we try to get rid of all the weaknesses of the wood. So when we've done that, taking out the lignin, injecting our specialty polymer inside the matrix, we've got this that is a translucent piece of wood. So as you can see, we can do it with a lot of species. We work like probably on 30 to 40 species at that time. So we work on maple, on ash, on tulip wood, etc. So we've done this, make it translucent. So if I don't know if I can show that, but yeah, I think you can see a little bit. So we make it translucent, and that's why we can bond our wood on the LED panels, like behind me. We've patented the process to bond our Woodoo Slim on the LED panel, and that's what the result is: a translucent wooden screen. Okay, so that's one of the applications we've got. It's not the only one. We've got a lot, but one of the first is that kind of a product, wooden screens. But what's magnificent, probably the other touch of magic with that wood, is that we make it touch sensitive. In fact, when we mix our wood, our authentic wood, but augmented by Woodoo, with, for example, an iPad or a capacitive screen, we make it a tactile surface. We make it a smart surface. Okay, so one of the another application is inside a car, for example, in the automotive or in the aeronautics, when we need to have interfaces with interactions with a dashboard or with a panel, a control panel. We can make it with our technology. I can show you probably one of these example. It's what we call switcher. It's a demonstrator for our Woodoo Slim technology. In fact, as you can see, on the top of our switcher, it's just a natural, authentic piece of wood treated by Woodoo, and we make this piece of wood a tactile surface. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very simple demonstrator. I don't know, Chuck, if you see that quite well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. So in fact, you've got that wooden screen with the touch of the wood, and that's what we like. We like the fiber, we like the sensual touch of the wood. We respect the wood, we worship the wood. So that's why we love to put that on devices. So we keep the touch of the wood, the look of the fiber. So every piece of Woodoo is unique, because it's just the natural, authentic drawing of the fibers of the wood. So that's what you can see on the switcher here, and we make it a tactile surface. Okay, so a lot of applications in automotive, in aeronautics, and in a lot of verticals.
So a lot of questions here that I can't help but ask.
Go ahead.
So for the examples that are running behind you, the resolution is quite impressive. Is the resolution, first of all, I assume that the resolution is coming from the LEDs, and so if we have a 1080p LED behind it, it's a 1080p picture. If we put a 4K LED behind it, it's a 4K picture. Is that correct?
It's correct. You've got probably a loss of quality. That's normal. You've got a little haze behind the surface. It's not transparent. It's translucent. So we keep a part of the light signal. That's normal. But we keep the main of the signal, and that's why what's interesting. We can have a lot of qualities behind our wood. For example, on the examples behind me, you've got two different pitches of the LED size. You've got 2.9 millimeters and a 2.9 millimeters, and 2.9 millimeters, and they're 1.9. So this one, the LED are thinner, are very, very small. So you've got a better quality on this jasper than on this one. But in fact, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to make a massive wall, a massive wooden wall, and that's not going to be watched by the public with a close distance. It's going to be looked from probably 2, 3, 4 meters or 10 meters. So you don't care if the pitch is too big. So you can put whatever LED panel you need behind the wood to achieve the quality you want to achieve. Okay, I don't know if I answered the question quite well.
No, exactly. I mean, and I think you acknowledged the next question I was going to ask, that there is a small loss of resolution because it is translucent, but for the applications you're talking about, you're not going to notice it. I'm not sure this would be the best choice for a computer monitor that's going to sit a foot from my face, but for a wall, phenomenal.
And that's exactly our thinking. You won't watch a television. You won't Star Wars. You wouldn't watch Star Wars on that kind of screen, because it doesn't make any sense. You need the best of the quality, the better quality you can imagine to watch a movie. So you won't use that kind of screen. But in fact, when you are in a massive place with public, for example, a station or an airport, all the screens are watched from a distance. So that kind of solution is perfect. And in fact, that what we are very proud of is we achieve what's been searched for by automotive industry for years, what they call the black panel. The black panel is when the screen is switched off, you can see nothing. It's just decor. It's just a nice surface. And when it's switched on, you've got a screen, you've got image. And with our products, we can make that black panel effect, but with wood. So you can imagine you've got a nice wood with a lot of species available. So you choose the color of the species you want, and you put it on the wall, and you've got a nice wooden wall with no information. And when you need information, for example, with a presence detector, there is someone, and you switch on the image, and the wood turn to life with image with displaying information. So we think it's really really interesting and really new, really new.
Very new. If you would hold up your samples again for a second.
Yeah, with pleasure.
So the images in back of you, I'm struck by how wonderfully rich the reds, the blues, the greens all are. Does the LED panel have to be tweaked based on the color of the wood to continue to deliver that?
No, in fact, all the technologies inside the wood. We've got here, it's just next to me. We've got here a team of mechatronics engineer, photonics engineer, optical engineers, and we are producing our demonstrators like these or like this one with all the team. And in fact, we are working on the optical qualities of our wood. So with the different treatments we give to the wood, we can enhance the quality of the color filtration, of the transmittance of the light inside the wood. So there's a lot of cursors we can a lot of levels we can manage to make the quality of the image the best possible. Okay, so it's not depending to the LED. What we want to do is to buy plain standard LED panels. We are not producing the LED panels, obviously. Our job is to make the material, the wooden, authentic wood materials, and that's it. And that's quite a job. And we take on the market very standard, normal LED panels. So we don't twist them. We don't work on them. We keep them plain normal, and we're working on the surface of the wood and the matrix of the wood to make it the more translucent and the more color faithful possible.
It is very, very impressive. You were talking about durability, and we're talking about doing walls with this. Well, things happen to walls. People run into walls with luggage or in an airport or carts or whatever. How durable is this for a wall?
In fact, it's very simple. You can imagine that it's got the sturdiness profile of aluminum. Okay, imagine it's aluminum. It's 3 to 4 times sturdier than conventional wood. So it's authentic fibers, but with the polymer, the specialty polymer we inject inside the matrix, we give them that strength, that resistance, and you can completely compare it to aluminum. So imagine a wall covered with a piece of aluminum. So it's that sturdy. So sturdier. Sturdy.
Yeah, that's impressive. I had no idea that, and it makes sense after you explain it that the polymers would add that kind of strength to it.
Fascinating. Yeah, in fact, there's a lot to say about the polymer we inject inside the wood. In fact, we don't have one polymer. As you can imagine, we've got a lot, and we are working with companies producing the polymers. We are working to formulate the perfect polymer for our uses. In fact, depending if we want to make moldable plastics, if we want to make sturdy plastics, we can use thermosets, thermoplastics. So different families of resins of polymers. So that's one of the main activity we've got, and that's what we patent a lot. It's the quality of the resin and the process to inject that polymer inside the matrix. So that's one thing. Another thing regarding the polymer, it's the sourcing of the polymer, because we've been founded by Timothée. I was talking about that a minute ago. And the idea was to decarbonate, to stop the use of concrete, for example, or plastics or aluminum, because they are really carbon emissive, they are really energy consuming. So we want to replace these materials, but we don't want to be carbon emissive ourselves. So when we use polymers, we can say that we use plastics. And when you say plastics, you say petrol. We should use petrol sourcing to petrol sourced materials to make our resin. So in fact, what we want to do first is to use recycled resins, recycled polymers, and at the end of the journey, we are working on that, but we want to use bio-based plastic resins, okay, bio-based polymers. So that's very important for us to make it as sustainable, as virtuous as possible, not to use petrol-sourced chemicals, but recycled or bio-based chemicals. That's what we are trying to achieve. For the moment, most of the resins we use are recycled because the industry is not organized yet with the proper formulas with biosourced polymers, but we are working on that with the manufacturers, the chemical manufacturers, to make them more virtuous. Okay, and that's one of our missions.
Smile and PDFpen are sponsoring this edition of MacVoices. You probably think of PDFpen as a productivity tool, and you would be right. The ability to manipulate PDF documents is critical, no matter what business you are in. The ability to edit PDFs to correct text, copy and paste text while retaining fonts and formatting, annotate a PDF with both voice and comments makes it an essential part of your productivity toolkit. But you also might think of PDFpen as a security and privacy utility because of its ability to securely redact information in a PDF. And I mean redact, not just draw black boxes over text that can easily be removed by someone who wants to see what you don't want them to see. Or PDFpen might be an accessibility tool. I recently scanned a document that I wanted to be able to use with a text-to-speech program. The PDF as I received it couldn't be read, but after running it through PDFpen's optical character recognition, every single word became something that could be read out loud. And edited, if necessary, of course. So what is PDFpen? Whatever you need it to be, but you have to be using it first. Visit smilesoftware.com right now and download a free trial of PDFpen and see what you've been missing. That's PDFpen from Smile, the makers of world-class software. And be sure to check out the even more powerful features of PDFpen Pro while you're there. Thanks to Smile for their ongoing support of MacVoices. So let's just say that I came to you and I said, the wall behind me, I want to turn that into a wooden wall with this technology. Mm-hmm. Are you going to produce a single full slab slice piece of wood, or are you going to, because it looks like what you have behind you is more component based, that you would put this one up, then this one up, then this one up, and tile it. Which of those approaches would you use to cover the back wall?
In fact, many things are possible, but from our experience, the best is to create standard components like a LED panel covered with our wood, okay, and that panel to multiply it. You put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. For the wall behind you, probably like 10 or 12 panels. But now in our facilities, in our plant in France, in Troyes, in France, we are producing Woodoo slim sheets with a size of 2.3 centimeters, so more than 2 meters long, and 40 centimeters large. Okay, so it's quite a massive piece of translucent wood. So we could imagine to make a wall of wooden tiles, let's call them tiles, wooden panels, LED panels, and we could cover them with big sheets of Woodoo Slim. But in fact, it's not a good solution because, as you know, LED needs to be maintained. So if you've got one of the LED lights that is broken, you can't take off all the wood, take off the panels. So in fact, what we do behind me, underneath the piece of wood, you've got structures like that. So it's very small structures of LED, and we can just replace one panel and behind the panel one piece of LED, and so the maintenance of the screen wall is very easy. So for our experience, it's better to have that kind of small units and to multiply them more than put a massive piece of wood on the wall. Okay.
That makes perfect sense, and that's sort of what I would have expected. But you've also told me a number of things here I didn't expect, so I wasn't sure how you were going to approach it. We have to ask about the price of something like this, because this is obviously new technology that is still evolving. But is there any kind of price point for, say, the size of a wall behind me or anything like that?
Oh, in fact, we can talk about one unit. You get to understand that what's very important that we can make a lot of things. As you can see, we've got a lot of different species, and all the species don't have the same price, and the treatment is not exactly the same on every species, because you've got to adapt to the species. So the wood sheet on top of the LED makes a difference. So, but just to give you like an idea, one of these LED panels cost like $2,000. Okay, so you multiply this value when you want to make a wall. But in fact, if we would be producing a really important quantity of screens, of wooden screens, the price would be very, very could get lower. So it's just an idea of what it costs. Okay.
Sure, understandable. Is there, with the species of wood you're showing there, is there one that's easier to work with, or one that's especially difficult to work with?
Oh, there are difficult species. Some are more easier. We quite like this one. It's I'm gonna make it closer. This one, it's the bird-eyed maple. The bird-eyed maple is a very nice species, because it's got a very nice drawing of fibers, and in fact we've made a lot of tests with that maple. We can make it with colors. For example, this is a gray bird-eye maple. This is a natural one. So we've worked a lot with this species because it is very interesting. It got nice optical qualities, but in fact, it really depends on the function you want to bring to the material. In fact, if you want to make it more translucent, or if you want to make it more sturdy, to make it sturdier, we won't recommend the same species. But in fact, we can quite work with most of the species. Some got more A's, are less translucent, but it really depends on the function you want to give to the wood. And one thing that is very important in our vision and reflection about the wood, in fact, all that we do is with sustainable forestry. We want to only to use FSC wood material, and that means sustainable forests, because we are quite obsessed with the recyclability and with the lowest impact possible of our activity. So one of the things we can do with wood is to use low quality wood. In fact, you probably don't know that because it's not quite well known. There's a lot of wood, planted trees in Europe, in France, that is not used at all because it's got a very weak value. For example, I've got the in French we call them the charme, tremble. So I don't know the word in English. I'm sorry, but that kind of species are quite weak, don't have much value, but we could use these species. So give value to these wood species that are not used at all in the industry and transform it in materials with a high value. And that's one of our goals, because we want to help the forestry ecosystem, because it's quite it's got a lot of problems in Europe. The economy of the forest is quite bad. It's quite suffering. So we would like to help this with using low quality wood to make them valuable products. Okay.
It's a fascinating product. It really is. I can't stress enough how interesting. And I was anxious to have the video of you with that in the background so that folks could see just what's happening, because it looks. You get torn between the idea of, is the image being projected onto the wood, or is it in the wood or behind the wood?
We always have that kind of feedback. Oh, is it projected on the wood? No, it's underneath the wood. And in fact, Chuck, I think you're going to be surprised, because you've seen one product, what we called Woodoo Slim. And with Woodoo Slim, we make these smart surfaces, these control panel like the switcher, or these LED panels like LED panels like Jasper. But we've got a lot of other materials. So, for example, what would you say about this? In fact, this is what we call a Woodoo Stack. And Woodoo Stack is a multi-layered piece of massive wood with an incredible resistance, an incredible mechanical resistance. So it's very sturdy. You can hear when I bump on the table. It's really, really resistant. So we've got a lot of different use cases with this kind of material, with Woodoo Stack. We can use it in very different industries. It's not translucent at all. It's not the object of that product. It's just there to take place of, for example, plastics or aluminum or in other metals in certain cases. For example, the watches industry is really fond of this material. All the luxury industry and the watches manufacturers are really interested with this product, because you can create with that kind of wood pieces of for example, of a watch. You can imagine my watch could be made with this material, with Woodoo Stack, with an extraordinary mechanical resistance. So you could take place of some metals with that kind of material. So there's a lot of future for that kind of material. So it's very interesting. And just a glimpse of another one. This one is what we call Woodoo Pulp, and pulp is a new material we are working on that's going to be moldable. For example, we take our wood, our Woodoo Slim. We want to recycle to take back the materials we have. How can I say that? Sell on the market. We're going to take back these materials, shrink them to pieces, and make that extraordinary material. It's like a kind of wood plastic composite, and we call it pulp. And we can make some injection molding with that material. So it's the first time you can make injection molding with wood, and it's with no other plastics, just with our material and our technology. We can make, for example, like a box or a bottle or packagings for cosmetics or whatever with our new material. So that are the new, just an hint of what we're working on for the next years. But for the moment, the most important product we are producing is the Woodoo Slim.
I have to ask. So is the stack and the pulp, is that the same basic idea of the process of injecting the resin and the polymers into the wood to make it stronger?
Absolutely. There's a lot of processes behind that, but it's basically the same. It's Woodoo wood that we have transformed. We transform it by stacking the layers of Woodoo wood. And when we shrink them in pieces, when we're going to recycle all the material we have spread on the market, we're going to recycle them and make pulp with these materials. That's the idea.
Last question. I want to make sure I get this in because it really doesn't apply to the panels behind you, but it might to the other. When you go through that process and inject that resin, does it substantially increase the weight of the piece of wood?
A little bit, yes.
A little, but not
a little bit, but it's not that much. We've got an excellent weight ratio, weight performance ratio, because in fact, just because we replace hair by resin, it's heavier, but not that much. So we've got the same weight profile of aluminum, for example. It's quite the same. We've got the resistance and the weight of aluminum. But we'd like to get rid of aluminum because it's one of the most energy consuming metal. So that would be far more virtuous to use our woods. In fact, I don't know if I've said that. I've made that clear enough, but we've got a vision, and Timothée Boitouzé, our founder, has a really incredible vision. That is, we want to help get rid of all the harmful materials on the planet, like concrete, like plastics, like aluminum and some other metals, glass in some cases. For example, that kind of panels should be covered with plastics or with glass. So we prefer to take place of that glass or plastic and put wood on them. That's the idea. Take place of the harmful material and help decarbonate the planet because it's needed.
Folks, well, before we started this interview, I asked Oliver how to correctly pronounce his company's name. And he said it's a combination of wood and voodoo. And I think that's what this really is, because it looks like voodoo, what they're doing to produce this. This is absolutely fascinating. Oliver, thank you for giving us a look into this and explaining all the processes and especially the applications. They seem to be only limited by your imagination.
Oh, quite. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chuck, for hosting us and for giving such a light to put light on our innovations. We are quite happy to share these innovations.
Oh, you're more than welcome. The website where folks could go to learn more if they are interested in the products and the processes.
Excuse me?
What your website where folks could go to learn more.
Oh yeah. Woodoo.com. But I must apologize because it's my responsibility. We didn't have the time yet, but we're working hard on that. Just at that moment, we haven't put all the information needed on our website, so it's quite a mess. But you can go to see Woodoo.com, that's for sure. But you won't find quite all the information needed. But we're working on that, and in weeks now, you're gonna have a lot of pretty cool information. But you can go to our YouTube channel, because there are a lot of nice videos of our products, of our founder, of a lot of people talking about our innovations. So the YouTube channel is quite interesting, and it's Woodoo Augmented Wood.
And I'll make sure I have links in the show notes to both the website and the YouTube channel, so you can go and see more. Oliver, thank you again. This was a fascinating look at a new technology.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We will have more from Virtual CES as we go along. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.